Okay, shalom, shalom, it's the brother Kadash. I want to start off by giving all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Kadash. You have probably seen already, if you've been keeping up with the whole thing with Russia versus Ukraine. And I'm just reading this. That's how I gotta make a disclaimer. I'm just reading this. This is on CNN, and I'm just gonna read what they say. And then we gonna get into the Bible, of course, right? So it says fact check, but check this out with them. And this is crazy, man. This whole fact check thing is just it's BS, man. It's complete BS, right? But we gonna go through it. It says Zelensky didn't say American sons and daughters have to fight in Ukraine, right? And nobody is making that claim because I seen the actual video, which I can't play anymore for copyright purposes, right? And this is just for research purposes, right? So you can't play the video, but nobody ever said that American sons and daughters will have to fight in Ukraine. Pretty much what he was saying is to wrap it all up is there's going to be a World War III and United States, USA, American sons and daughters are going to have to fight in World War III. Of course, right? And that's actually going to be fulfillment of prophecy. So that's how we know that it's actually going to happen. And this is great to see, just to see how close we're getting. Two different prophecies being fulfilled, right? So it says a viral video of Ukrainian President Zelensky takes his remarks out of context to wrongfully make it sound like he demanded that Americans send their sons and daughters to fight in a war in Ukraine. It's not about them if they're fighting in the land of Ukraine or not. What he's saying is from that direct war, American sons and daughters are going to enter in that war, which is really it's being called Russia versus Ukraine, but we know that it's really Russia versus NATO. That's why they're sending so many billions and billions of dollars, and they're so interested in that war, right? So in that case, Russia versus NATO. American sons and daughters will be sent to fight against Russia because that's future prophecy. Bible prophecy, right? So they're saying it's out of context. So let's get straight to the point where they fact checked it, right? So facts first says Zelensky did not say American sons and daughters will have to fight in Ukraine or die for Ukraine. Rather, he predicted that if Ukraine loses war against Russia because it does not receive significant assistance, which it then receives so much assistance already. It says Russia will proceed to enter North Atlantic Treaty Organization member countries in the Baltic, a region made up of um, Latvia, um, Lithuania, and Estonia. It says that the U.S. will have to send troops to defend under the treaty that governs NATO. An attack on one member is considered an attack on all. Ukraine is not a NATO member, right? Which is pretty much saying the same thing. Now, you could get into semantics where he didn't say that they would have to fight in Ukraine and die for Ukraine, but he said that they're going to have to fight against Russia because Russia's going to keep going. It's still the same thing, man. They're going to have to fight against Russia at the end of the day, the same way the Ukrainians are. And if it goes past Ukraine, then they're gonna have to get involved with it. It's saying the same thing, man. To see the fact check shit is just a whole bunch of semantics, man. And we know, like I said, this is Bible prophecy that this is gonna happen, even if they don't push forward. But this right here is where I personally think, it's my personal opinion, that this is what's going pursuant to Revelation 17. At the end of Revelation 17, when the other nations turn on Mystery Babylon, the great harlot, and shoot fire on her, which one country shoots fire on another country by missiles, as we see Russia is shooting fire on Ukraine by missiles and drones. That's how it works. They not gonna come over with flame torch or forest fires. That's just not how it works. So that's how we know it's talking about nuclear missiles. Some brothers that went in the Bible and talk about, nuclear missiles, but they say that it's going to be asteroids and meteors that's going to come from the sky, and the Lord's going to cause come from the sky. This is how we know this. That it's actually Mystery Babylon is going to be destroyed by nuclear missiles rather than meteors, because they kind of give the same effect. But the difference is a country don't have the power to bring a meteor out of space or out the sky and come down on another country. But we do see that countries have something called nuclear missiles, and they use those or regular missiles to put another country on fire. So when you read Revelation 17, it gives you the answer of whether it's nuclear missiles or whether it's meteors or whether it's a super volcano. You see what I'm saying? So, I mean, matter of fact, we could go to it and read it just to clear some things up, right? If I could get to it. Revelations 17, KJV. Let's read it, and it's gonna make sense to you, perfect sense to you, right? Revelation 17. I'm on my computer, so if y'all been watching the videos, y'all know the computer has this loading thing, and it's slow. So, especially when you just turn it on. But sometimes that's how the spirit be. You get this topic in your head, you gotta go and you gotta get it out before you lose it, right? Um, Revelation 17. Wow. Starting at verse 16, straight to the point. It says, in the 10 horns, which we know those are the other nations, right? Outside of the great harlot that sits on top of the beast, you know what I mean? NATO, right? And the NATO members. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore. So so the whore is riding on top of the beast that got the 10 horns, right? The 7 heads and the 10 horns, right? But the 10 horns are going to turn. They're going to end up hating the whore that's riding on top of the beast. So right now they're all together, and they go by the name of NATO. And the most powerful member of NATO is America. So it's not hard to put it together. Who's the great harlot that's controlling the beast that's riding on top of the beast? America. It's simple, right? Right. But the 10 horns, it says these shall hate the whore. So they're going to end up hating the whore and turning up against her, right? It says, and shall make her desolate and naked. Now watch how they're going to make her desolate and naked. And shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. So if this is talking about nations, how do one nation burn another nation with fire? Okay, so let's get back to point. I'm pretty sure we all agree, right? Missiles, right? Okay. Joel 2:20. It says, "But I will remove far off from you the northern army, and will divide him into a land barren and desolate." Here you go again, talking about desolate and barren lands. Why? Because it's going to be war, man. Right? It says, with his face towards the east, and his hinder parts towards the utmost sea, and his stink shall come up, and his ill savor shall come up, because he has done great things. So to qualify it for today, right? Because this is how the Bible works. Because you have things that happen over and over again. So just like when it says the Israelites, when we went under the curses, those curses didn't just happen one time. They continue happening, and we're going to continue under the curses. So those things are going to continue happening to us even until the Lord comes back. You see what I'm saying? So let's go to the next chapter. Joel 3 answers it, right? So the Lord is going to take the army from America. Meaning what? Just like this article, right? The sons and the daughters, American sons and daughters, and there's going to be Israelites that's a part of the army too, right? They're going to go fight. They're going to be taken from this land, and then they're going to go fight. And then what it's going to do is it's going to make this land, Mystery Babylon, the Great Heart, it's going to make it vulnerable. Then that's when you're going to have all hell breaking loose, martial law. Then that's when you're going to have missiles coming over here, UK soldiers coming over here, Chinese soldiers coming over here. This is just Bible prophecy. I'm speaking, I'm teaching. I have the right to speak and prophesy about these things. Hopefully, you know how things is on YouTube, right? This is Joel 3, right? So this will answer it for you. How? Because that's Joel 2. So the next chapter tell you how the Lord's going to do that, right? How he's going to take the northern army. Verse 1, for behold, in those days and at that time shall I bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, and I will also gather all nations, see, and bring them into the valley of Jehoshaphat. So the Lord is not gathering just the regular citizens and bringing them to the valley of Jehoshaphat. The way that when he says he's gathering all nations here, he's talking about the armies of those nations. That's why Joel 2 spoke about the army, right? It says, and will plead with them there for my people, the valley of Jehoshaphat, which is the valley of Yahweh's judgment. So that's the plan. He's going to take these nations to the Valley of Jehoshaphat, right over there in the Middle East, right, and he's going to judge them for his people, and that's going to be a part of him getting those vengeance, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, who they have scattered among the nations and part of my land, and have cast and they have cast lots for my people and have given a boy for a harlot and sold a girl for wine that they might drink. So it's vengeance. The same way we gave sons and daughters, right, and we're into slavery. Now the Lord's going to take their sons and daughters and make them go to war. Draft is coming, man. I drove by today. It's like a recruiting station for the army, and it was kind of packed up there. It was cars. Every parking spot was filled up, but it wasn't like a big parking lot. Probably like 20 parking spots or something like that. But all the parking spots was filled up, and it was more active than I ever seen it because they have a Dollar Tree that's by it. So I always go to this Dollar Tree to get little small stuff that I need for the house. But so I'm sitting there and I'm like, usually when I see it, it's dead pretty much. It's empty. It really ain't nobody that much activity. But when I drove past it today, it was a lot of activity going there. You actually seen men with their army suits on. I'm like, look, they are already getting more active, and that's going to turn to a draft, right? Because that's Bible prophecy. Well, this is also speaking about a draft. If you have ears to hear, because if he's going to gather their armies, well, then the armies are gathered by what? Drafts, right? It says in the, I mean, you've seen the same thing happen in Russia, right? When they went going to war in Ukraine, what they have to do? They did a draft. You've seen the Ukrainians do the same thing. They did what? A draft. Anybody that was like over 19 had to go fight, right? And you had people breaking their arms, so they want injured people or handicapped people can't be thrown into the war. So they was trying to do that to escape being drafted. And you had people running. You had people trying to get on planes, right? It says, yeah, and what have ye to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon, and all the coasts of Palestine? Will ye render me recompense? And if you recompense me swiftly and speedily, will I return your recompense upon your own head? Because you have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried into your temples my goodly pleasant things. The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians, the Edomites, that ye might remove them far from their border. Behold, I will raise them out of their place, whether ye have sold them, and will return your recompense upon your own head. And I will sell your sons and your daughters into the hand of the children of Judah, and they shall sell them to the Sabines, to a people far off, for the Lord has spoken it. So American sons and daughters, it says it right here in the Bible. Your sons and your daughters, they're going to go into captivity. They're going to fight and go into war, and then they're going to go into captivity, the ones that survive. See, so what you got to understand is the Lord's in control of all this. He's in control of the armies of the earth, man. He's going to cause those armies of the earth to fight against each other, right? He's going to cause the armies of the earth to fight against him when he comes back, right? The Lord is really in control of all the plays that's being made. We got to be patient. It's really hard. We all hasten the end to come, right? But we on the Lord's time, right? So Ezekiel 38. I'm just read a couple verses straight to the point. Verse 1. And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against God, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and prophesy against them. What's that? The chief prince? That's Russia, right? So we prophesying against them too. And say, thus saith the Lord God, behold, I am against thee. So the Lord is still against Russia. Our salvation is not coming by the way of Russia, but the Lord is going to use them as a piece on the board, right? To fulfill their portion, their lot. O God, O Gog, and chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, I would turn thee back and put hooks in thy jaws, and will bring thee forth in all thy armies. See the Lord controlling their armies, horses and horsemen, and all them clothed with all sorts of armor, and even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. So the Lord is causing Russia to go to war because he's putting hooks in their jaw. So where the Russians are really scared and they really don't want to go into World War III, but they have to, or they're going to lose their way of life and their power, because you have this beast NATO that's constantly putting military bases closer and closer, and putting weapons of mass destruction closer and closer to their borders, pretty much to surround them and then subdue them. So they have to come out fighting, right? They have to. So that's the Lord putting those hooks in their jaws. The Lords are using other. The Lord, it's like a game. Like the Lord is using characters or pieces on the chessboard to play the way that He wants to play, and He's going to get the victory at the end, right? Let's go back to the Book of Revelations, right? Revelations 19. This is Revelations 19, starting at verse 19, right? It says, "And I saw the beast," this NATO, and the members, "and the kings of the earth." So it's telling you the beast is the kings of the earth, but in order to have kings, you have to have a kingdom, which is, they don't say kingdoms anymore, they say countries, right? So it's the same thing as saying the countries of the earth. And their armies, because who have armies? Countries have armies. You see how simple this is, man? But we have to slow it down for it. Let's just keep going. It says, "Gather together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army." Him that sits on the horse. Could we make an educated guess of who that's talking about? That's talking about the Lord, who the word ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. That's talking about Yahweh when He comes back. So the armies, why would you go join the army with a draft? Why would you be rooting for an army when it just told you that the kings of the earth and their armies are going to fight against the Lord? If you're a Christian, you shouldn't be praying for the army or any members that's in the army, because those people are going to fight against the Lord. That's what it just said. I'll read it again. "And I saw the beasts and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army. And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet that wrought miracles before him, with which he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast and them that worship his image. These both were cast alive into a lake of fire burning with brimstone." We told you how that's going to be caused with nuclear weapons. "And the remnant were slain with the sword of him that sat upon the horse and the Lord that's going to be on the chariots." He's not sitting on a literal flying Pegasus horse, right? So the horse is just like, if you got a Mustang, you got a horse. If you got a Ferrari, you say, how much horsepower do I got? But it's not talking about literal horses. It's like a metaphor, right? He's sitting on a what you would call some type of spaceship, a ship that's coming from space, a spaceship, right? But it's a vehicle, and the word chariot means wheeled vehicle. You see how simple this could be made, and plain upon the tables this could be made. "Which sword proceeded out his mouth, and all the falls were filled with their flesh," right? Because it's going to be a lot of dead people, nobody to bury these bodies, and then the birds are going to eat at the flesh. I mean, it's just right there in front of you, right? And then to get more context on this war that's going to happen with the Lord and the armies of the earth, you could go to Second Esdras 13, and it tells you about that sword that proceeds out his mouth. Second Esdras chapter 13 from the beginning. But let's keep going. This is Amos 3. To show you that the Lord is controlling it all. Right? Amos chapter 3, verse 6. "Shall a trumpet be blown in the city and the people not be afraid? Should there be evil in the city and the Lord has not done it?" So it's like a rhetorical question. Of course, if there's evil in the city, the Lord has done it, right? So from war, what happens? There's evil that happens in the city from war. Like what's happening in Ukraine cities right now, what is that? That's evil that's happening in their cities. But it says, has the Lord not done it? Meaning that ultimately the Lord gets credit for it, because the Lord is the one that's controlling it. And I'll show you why. If I could find this. Let's see. Let me see where I'm at. All right. This is Isaiah 45, verse 7. "I form the light, I create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things." So it's showing you that the Lord controls bad, good, evil, righteous, light, darkness. The Lord controls all of it. So all the things that you're seeing on earth right now, and the things that's about to happen, and the prophecies that's about to be fulfilled, the Lord is controlling all of it. So yes, it's Bible prophecy that American sons and daughters are going to have to enter into World War III. Whether you want to say, will they have to fight for Ukraine or not, at the end of the day, they're trying to spin it and make it seem like what they're sending weapons and money to help Ukraine, but really they're not doing it to help Ukraine. They're doing it to help themselves, right? So really, it's already World War III, but they're not going to come out and say we're in World War III. That's something that they say looking back. Okay, World War III started on this date. But why it's going on live, they're not going to say that it's World War III, because that would cause panic in the markets, and it would destabilize their economy here if everybody knew we was in World War III. So yes, this prophecy will be fulfilled. With that, I'm gonna say salvation to the elect. Shalom.